In real estate and finance, so much of what we do happens digitally, right? But how much of it do you actually see? Today, we're going to dive into a really crucial part of cybersecurity that's all about visibility, understanding what's happening behind the scenes so you can genuinely reduce your risk.
So let me start with a question for you. What's happening inside your systems right now at this very moment when no one's actively watching? Just think about it. Every single day, there are countless automated actions, user clicks, and data transfers happening. The real question is, are you aware of what's going on?
Because in your world, trust is everything. A mortgage application, a title transfer, every single transaction relies on technology that works perfectly and securely. And that trust? Well, it's built on a foundation of knowing your systems are rock solid. So, how do we build that foundation?
To build that trust, you've got to have visibility. And that visibility comes from something called application logs. Let's think of them as the eyes of your entire system. Okay, so what are these logs anyway? Well, think of them like your system's memory, or maybe its diary. They create this detailed, historical record of pretty much everything that happens. It's like having a black box for your technology, documenting every important event and every single user action. And this gives you a great idea of just how much they can see. Logs are tracking who logs in and when, any changes made to system settings, and critical processing errors. They're also recording who accessed what data, which files were opened, and any other big system changes. It's basically a comprehensive digital footprint.
And this brings us to what is honestly a fundamental truth in all of cybersecurity. You simply cannot protect what you cannot see. Trying to operate without logs is like trying to secure your most valuable assets while wearing a blindfold. It's just not going to work.
So what happens when you're flying blind? Well, the risks of this invisibility are huge, and believe me, the costs can be incredibly high.
And make no mistake, this is not some theoretical problem. Cyber attackers are actively hunting for organizations that can't see what's happening inside their own four walls. A lack of visibility isn't just a blind spot. It's pretty much an open invitation for an attack.
Okay, so risk number one is the undetected security breach. Without monitoring logs, a bad actor could be inside your network for weeks or even months, accessing sensitive client data before you ever realize something is wrong. Second, it's not just about security, it's also about stability. Those little performance issues and software errors, they almost always show up in the logs first. These are your early warning signals. Ignoring them is kind of like ignoring your car's check engine light until you're stranded on the side of the highway.
And finally, there's data integrity. If sensitive financial data or personal information gets changed or deleted, how do you prove what happened? Without logs, that forensic trail goes cold, making it nearly impossible to investigate, let alone recover.
But it doesn't have to be this way. Now that we understand the risks of operating in the dark, let's talk about the solution. It is time to turn on the lights with a structured logging program.
Now what's really cool is how this perfectly mirrors the risks we just talked about. Instead of having undetected breaches, you get early threat detection. Instead of hitting roadblocks during an investigation, you get a much faster incident response. And instead of failing your audits, you have strong, documented proof of your compliance. It's a total flip.
And the benefits go way beyond just security. By analyzing your logs, you can spot workflow bottlenecks and improve your operations. You can find and fix those recurring errors that frustrate your users, which enhances efficiency. And of course, you can provide that documented evidence to auditors, proving your controls are effective. So how do we actually do this? You might be thinking this all sounds pretty complex, but building an effective logging program is really just about following a clear, manageable path.
It really boils down to 5 straightforward steps. First, define. You don't need to log everything. Start by identifying your biggest risks, like wire transfers or access to client files, and define your logging around them. Second, secure. Make sure your logs are stored somewhere safe where they can't be changed or deleted. Their integrity is absolutely key. Third, establish. You need a clear process. Who is responsible for reviewing the logs? How often? Accountability is crucial here. Fourth, automate. You don't have to read every single line. Use simple automation to alert your team to anything unusual. And fifth, refine. This isn't a one-and-done project. Threats are always evolving, so your logging policy should too.
And here is the key takeaway when it comes to implementation. You don't need some massive, super complex system to get started. What truly matters is consistency and the discipline to actually follow your process. A simple, consistent program that's actually used is way more effective than a sophisticated one that just collects dust.
So all of this brings us to the final takeaway. See, implementing a logging program isn't just a technical task. It's a fundamental shift in your whole mindset, from being reactive to becoming proactive.
Because that's what this is really all about. You're taking this flood of raw system activity, all that digital noise, and you're transforming it into clear, actionable intelligence that you can use to make smarter decisions about security in your operations.
And this right here is the ultimate goal. When you actively monitor your systems, you're no longer just sitting around waiting for something bad to happen and then reacting to it. You are actively getting ahead of threats and preventing incidents from happening in the first place.
So, I'll leave you where we began, but this time, think of it as a challenge for your own organization. Ask yourself honestly, can you truly see everything you need to protect? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.